I don't, to be particularly honest, want to make another video. I'm tired. And people don't pay any attention to these videos. And to my amazement, no, there's no follow-up work. I'm sure you see a shirt I made over there. See back there, it says cardboard fan. Um, I'm going to justify that. It's a statement of skepticism regarding official explanation for AIDS and COVID that I get from Seattle. I'm going to justify this too. Okay, I'm going to justify on this. I'm going to show you some memes and some evidence. It says the traitors of Ono. It has John Lennon from How I Won the War superimposed on their partner Gail Burson's script from the Neva Corporation. To my amazement, Seattle, which proposes to be a liberal place at one point in its history, has a Hendrix Museum and so on, actually was fomenting both liberalism and promiscuity while simultaneously covering for the AIDS attack and helping to set up COVID. Notice that one of their leaders in the 70s was in immunogenetics. She's out there posing for the anthrax. And she claimed they adopted her as their leader of what they called the plague mass. You see, there's the Japanese headquarters of the anthrax mafia, the firearms of hell on earth, and so on. And I want to explain what these traders are really doing so that they can't weasel. Stranger magazine can't just call mom. He's being mean to me because they tortured me and covered for these poison criminals. The woman up here is in the Seattle Center. We used to be in Seattle Center, and this one down here is on Penis Robert Fripp's record, God Save the Queen. If you look at these images closely, maybe not the prints that are here, these little bit glaucomic, but they're Grangan mesmers of one another. They're archetypes of one another. They're lookalikes of one another because they represent the girl who wrote the palace's script. You see, and the only thing that's missing from the piece of the puzzle is that Lenin got away. And saying he died makes people side with them. So let's take a look at some of the things they're doing. There's this guy who blinks, and then this man, like it's from a bright flash. And this man gets on the phone and says, so Pittsburgh. It's in Alias Little Boy channel. Now, there's other images from Japanese films that very clearly indicate that the Japanese were following my father. In the language they think that came out of Carbonell's secret tape for the Neva Corporation. This was from Oswald's diary edition of Life magazine, next to a picture of an Asian princess, little Parker wiggling and squealing in the arms of King Frederick. So they had this all planned. This see the Ronald name in the Army film. See how Oswald becomes Ronald? While on the radio they're talking about JFK being shot. And they use this technique of having this foaming Negro. They used a nerve agent on me. It's the same exact studios. The cell door opened, he escaped in my view. And they have Itra putting Mac on his collar in the New York Yankees. This is what made me suspicious. The rather us with the U.S. over the swastika. This is on the reel of the film. That's Reagan next to a bust of Hitler and a swastika with the U.S. right over it. and that guy Errol Flynn lived in Laurel Canyon with Houdini. These were taken in Dallas during the incident. Two different movies going on at the same time. So I don't really like Sergeant Pepper's has a certain aspect. Notice they hide an image of Poe in the cover of Life that has, it's the aspect of Sergeant Pepper's. This is the same artist did them. That has Jacqueline on the cover, ready to make her bolt for the Pepperland, having performed so nobly her task. And so people should follow up on this, but they don't. They don't, of course. So I make memes about what they did. But here's some of the research I've done too. Notice this came out in 1963. This was, Meg Lacey said, baby, oh, oh, oh. If you're ever gonna kiss me, it better be tonight. And it has a bell, like for whom the bell tolls at the neckline. This was taken on the San Jacinto, which both Bush and my father served on. So when we talk about my film studies project, it leads to Ouspensky. Thank you, Camila Beleva, for the lead. Fourth dimensional psychology. Aleister Crowley was also popularized as influential with the Beatles. They used the symbol over and over again. This is from the Telltale clip. Do not miss the Telltale clip because it says everything. But we've allowed these acid-headed, fairy fascist dumplings to dump on us their hostility for private norms of romantics. So this is how they kept people from chatterboxing about the AIDS. Marilyn, by the way, was very frightened. She could feel that the fascists were still around and circling her. And we found headquarters in naval barracks shaped just like a swastika in California. That's the aerial view of a naval barracks in California. They used the symbol over and over again. This is a symbol of extermination. Now, you may not realize that, but they're exterminating people over a penny. That's what the C stands for. It's copyright. The C, they made Jews sew Star of David on their clothes in Nazi Germany. See, that's the tattoo artistry. And it's always the same symbolism, two versions with you. See Japan, the crimson map of Japan coming up from between her legs, where the Gipper's obsession is, and the sex bomb in Charlie Chaplin's closet. They have a needle and a priest and the name Ron at the end of Superfly. So, and they say, no, look how much you can get for the photograph of Kennedy's head being blown up. They were overlapping. If you look at The Killers by Reagan and Nancy Dickinson, you see that they were overlapping reality with real events and then daring people to tell. And they use symbolism. You remember when Toon said Paris was the capital of Germany? There was an occupation. Remember Charlie Chaplin's Great Dictators? They're getting even by making these comedians look like dictators. That Eiffel Tower symbolism. So it's consistent over and over. One wag from the stranger. Ask him why he made this if they didn't know this was going on and did nothing but poison me in the mouth for COVID. They sent a virgin and then claimed Ms. Goto. She blew up my brain where I had a neuroplasm. So, and then he puts that on the joke's on you on the library steps outside where she pulled her fancy pants maneuver. And this is justified because that's what he's doing. Downtown Pittsburgh has a Needle building and a Queen Elizabeth Crown building. Ain't that something? And they put these images into print That's another one of the Grangan Mesmer, Gail Burstyn, the Grangan Mesmer of penis, Gabriel. Who are these people? They're Ayn Rand aliens. They believe in a confederacy that's inclusive of the black man and makes African Tang studies peep on lonely Americans. They peep and they use the questions of character. And they sell. This is another justified meme because Fripp and Colin Powell were one is one. You getting the idea yet? You getting the idea? I'm just making a request as a citizen. How about looking into this stuff? How about putting a stop to these neo-Nazis in Seattle playing all liberal?